going on, everyone? Welcome into another episode of the Dairyland Drive podcast. Collin, Riley, and Mike, as always, with another episode. And this week, we got a special guest repping the Packers quarter zip, so he must be a very smart man. This is Kevin, Mike's friend from lacrosse. Kevin, how you doing? Thanks for joining us this week to talk a little Packers and just a little football and everything in general. How's it going?
Doing great. Excited to be here, and thanks for having me on the show, guys.
Yeah, of course, of course. Always enjoy a listener and a fan of the show. So super excited to hear some of your takes. With the wide receiver, tight ends. We're gonna get to that in a little bit. But first, we got to start with potentially, I guess, is it the top news of the day? I don't know. It's been the news of the day. It seems like for the last several months, or been topics on our podcast the last several months of what is Jai Alexander going to do? And this is probably the time for me and Riley to probably eat our crow because we were very much on board. The Jair is going to be on the Packers roster. Apparently not going to happen. Multiple, I guess, reports come out today that the Packers are going to release him and parting ways officially with the two-time Pro Bowler. So I guess it just begs the question, one, does anything really change for this defense? Because he really hasn't played the last couple of years. And two, are you just kind of excited that the damn thing's over, that we can stop talking about this and move on, and at least in some capacity, let's look forward to 2025?
To answer the second question, I don't know that I'm excited about it. Maybe a little more relief that it's over. I don't really know that I'm too excited that we're losing a solid player like Jair, but at the same time, like, what are they really going to be missing in terms of his availability going forward? Like,
They should be used to it, right? By now. I mean,
yeah,
two straight seasons. Yeah.
yeah, play what 50% of the games?
14, I think,
West.
the last two seasons. 14 games, whatever that is. 17 times 2 is what, 34? 14 of
Yeah,
34. So not good
not even.
availability. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't it's no big deal. That's what they've been doing, obviously, like we just said the last 2 years. I mean, me and Kyle were on the side of he's coming back, and the only reason I thought that is because like it still doesn't in my head. It still doesn't make any sense why they would cut him because like I was texting you guys today, unless they're gonna go out and trade for Hendrickson or go get Ramsey, whatever. Like they have somebody said $46 million in what are they going to do with that? Like who cares if he was on the roster this year? If you wanted to trade him, like best case scenario, let's say he plays this year, he plays decent, then you can actually trade him and not have to swallow the money. So unless they're actually going to go out and you do something with this money this year, to me it just makes no sense to me unless there's which it's the Packers, it's possible if there's locker room issues like with among players that we just don't know about. But to me, this just screams like Goody just doesn't like him, so I'm gonna get rid of him and try to just obviously be Goody, which whatever. But yeah, so in my head, it just doesn't make any sense because it's the Packers. We all know they're not gonna do shit with this $46 million. So I don't know. It just makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see what the numbers are. I heard that, they came in with a lower base plus incentives too. So curious to see what that actually shook out, how much, we maybe lowballed him by to get him to not agree to that. And then kind of my next question too is like, which NFC North team is he going to sign with now? We've seen that happen so many times with
Right.
other former players too. And I'm sure, I don't have all the details, but depending on how it all played out, he might be looking forward to the opportunity to try to play the Packers two times in the season here.
Yeah, he'll play for an NFC North team, then he'll play all 17 games for like the first time in 3 years, right? And that's probably how
Yeah.
it's going to go and be on the field and be super valuable. But yeah, and did you see some of the stuff that Murphy just hit some parting shots from him today? I think when he was
Just
talking
launching
to
grenades.
throwing grenades at him, which I kind of respect and like, but I think that's just kind of, I mean, he's towards the end of his kind of tenure as well, right? So he probably is in the I don't
Yeah,
really give a shit either. I'm going to say what I want to say. I'm retiring in, what is it, a couple months until the owner or the meeting. So Definitely respected that. That was pretty cool to see. But yeah, I mean, I think it just kind of is what it is at this point. And yeah, I mean, 14 out of 34 potential regular season games is crazy. So yeah, I'd be interested to see what the offer was too. I agree with you, Kevin, because it's like Jair's camp. It always sounded like he wanted to play for the Packers and make it work, but like realistically, did he or was he? And just kind of seems like there was some stubbornness on that end in terms of he wasn't budging with what he wanted to make and thought what he was worth. And I mean, how many different reports did we hear about how he wanted to be cut, how he was, potentially going to be traded. He wanted to stay with the Packers. The Packers teammates love him. Oh no, I mean, there was just so many twists and turns on this thing. So I think, yes, I think there is kind of like a relief. And yeah, I didn't want to make it sound like, oh, I'm excited that he's gone. Obviously not, because I think he is a good player when he's healthy. But more so, I think I'm just relieved and excited it's over because it was freaking talked about like all the time, and now we can kind of move on and kind of potentially know who's going to be on that side of the ball at least on paper going into the season. So, any final thoughts before we maybe don't talk about Jair until whoever, like Kevin said, NFC North team he plays for inevitably the first time we play him. Any parting thoughts before we move on here?
I'll just be interested to see what the number is when he eventually does sign somewhere. Um, just because there were reports today that they were talking with the Bills and I think maybe one or two other teams like before the draft, during the draft, maybe even after about trading him, but no one could get the deal across the line because of the number on the contract. So I mean, that's the whole league saying we don't feel he is worth what his current number is. So, what is the number that he is going to take? And if we ever find out what the Packers offer, like how far apart are those numbers?
Yeah. All right. Well, talking about numbers, another man that used to play for the Packers just signed a 1 year, just over $13 million contract, I think, to play with the Steelers. The ageless wonder, Aaron Rodgers, what is he, 40, 41 now? Signs with the Steelers in that AFC North. Intriguing because guess who plays the Steelers on prime time in week 8 in Pittsburgh? Rodgers gets to play his two former teams in the same season, the Jets and the Steelers. Um, I guess just overall thoughts when you saw this. Were you that surprised, either of you? And then does it like make the Steelers Packers matchup any more interesting, or is it just going to kind of be the same kind of excitement or same kind of interest going into week 8? Without Rodgers and now with Rodgers.
I mean, I think it makes it a little more interesting, assuming he's still healthy by then. I mean, he's old. Who knows if his body will break down by then or not? Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm not really surprised by it. I think this was kind of the plan all along. I mean, mandatory
Not for
minicamp
the
starts.
Steelers. He was their third option. You see those reports today. He was their third option, I think, is what the Steelers were claiming.
Well, okay. Once those two options were out the window, I think the plan for him once he started talking to them was, yeah, I'm gonna bide my time and then I'll sign right when mandatory minicamp starts. I don't want to come to all the other bullshit beforehand that's voluntary. Um, I think that game certainly is just going to be uh, top billing for just for viewership. Um, I will say one game that I will absolutely root for the Steelers for this year is their game against the Bears, just because I want to see him just like taunt the shit out of them again and just be like, "I still own you."
Yeah, same. I think. I mean, you you would assume it'd be much anticipated. The only way it's not is if both teams suck or if one of the quarterbacks is hurt, like Mike says. But hopefully, at that point, both teams are on a good pace. Like I feel like they probably should be. I think that's bullshit that he was the third option. I think they would have signed Justin Fields if they wanted him. Like he didn't go for that much more per year. With how young he is, if they wanted him, they just would have kept him. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I think this puts the Steelers and Hawks is like the second best team in the AFC North. I mean, everybody's going to say the Bengals. They love the Bengals. The Bengals defense is still fucking terrible. So
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter. People can say what they want. So yeah, I don't know. It's intriguing. I mean, should be playoff teams on both sides, Packers, Steelers. So hopefully that Week 8 matchup lives up to the hype.
Yeah, and to your point, Riley and Mike, I think week eight's really interesting because it gives Aaron Rodgers some time, to learn the new offense, kind of get comfortable. I mean, injuries can happen any game in the season, but it's not like it's week 16, 17. So in theory, you could have both Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers kind of coming in to a really good stretch of football there. I think another interesting thing on the line, Aaron Rodgers can become the fifth or sixth quarterback to beat all 32 NFL teams. Hope that doesn't happen for the sake of the Packers, but that's going to be something on the back of his mind too. It's a game that he already wants to, win for sure. So I think that'll be another storyline that you hear people talking a lot too going into week 8.
Do you think this truly makes Steelers Super Bowl contenders, any of you, or do you think it doesn't really move the needle that much for what their roster is and just what they have on defense, obviously, and the up and down on offense that they've had the last couple of years? Where do you kind of put them with their addition of Rodgers now?
I want to see what else they do weapon wise. They're not done yet. They're going to bring another receiver or two in. So depending on who that is, I
Romeo
think
Dubs,
that I mean they could trade for him. Lazard, who knows where he's going to end up? And
Mercedes
I don't know. We'll
Lewis,
see
who
what they
else do they
do.
got? Yeah.
The, the
Dalvin come out
weapons
of
are
retirement.
the issue.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think they're Super Bowl contenders. Uh, they'll be a wild card team. They'll win it, maybe a game. I don't think they're true Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah, agree with Mike there. I mean, I am biased, but if you can have Aaron Rodgers on your team in the playoffs, I'm sure there's very few people that would turn that down. I know he is getting older and it's a new team, but I still think it's hard to overlook that. And you give him a full season with the team, if they make it to the playoffs, anything could happen. So be interesting to see how that pans out for him too. But I wouldn't place them as a favorite by any means. But it'll be interesting to kind of see how he does this year.
Last question: does he get talked about more or less than when he was going into his first year with the Jets with the Steelers, in terms of national media and the hype and everything of what it was about of him joining the Jets and turning that franchise around? Does he get the same hype for the Steelers, or do you think it's kind of come and past now of he's just kind of there?
Oh no, I think he gets just as much run as he did
Yeah.
when he first went to the Jets.
It's 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 the Steelers, right? The second most popular team behind the Cowboys. He's going to get talked about fucking way more.
Yeah, he's gonna get talked about every day on fucking sports talk shows.
It's the low hanging fruit too. I mean, obviously New York's
Yeah,
a massive market for sports and media, but to Riley's point too, a lot of Steelers fans nationwide. So I think that's going to be a hot topic for sure.
All right.
McAfee's gonna talk about him for 1 hour every day.
every every Tuesday,
That's true.
he'll be on there every Tuesday.
That's true. Well, all right. Well, Week 8, put it on your calendars. Definitely will be very exciting. And of course, the NFL just didn't know. So just put that game, in prime time, Sunday Night Football
Sure.
that week. So, all right. Well, let's get into some of our position group previews. We continue on the offensive side of the ball. We've done quarterbacks, we've done running backs. Now we're going to go to the pass catchers. We're going to combine wide receivers and tight ends and just kind of take a look at this group of what they were last year and a little bit overall of what they look like going into 2025. Just to rewind a little bit, stat leaders from last year. And they pointed this out to me. I must have just put Dontavian Wicks as the top one and Tucker Kraft as the top tight end. Maybe that's why I got the 76 to 70. But target wise last year, Dontavian Wicks led the team in targets with 76. Tucker Kraft, no surprise, tight end 70. Receptions, Jaden Reed 55. Tucker Kraft had 50 for tight ends. Yards, Jaden Reed 587. Tucker Kraft 707. Yak. How about Tucker Kraft led the team in yak, 556 yards after catch, and Jaden Reed 380. Touchdowns, Tucker Kraft 7, Jaden Reed 6, drops Jaden Reed and Dontavian Wicks both had 9. Can't say that with a straight face still. Not good. But pretty much the same core as last year. Obviously, Christian Watson is going to be out at least half of the season, maybe 3/4 of the season with injury. So we won't talk a ton about him unless you want to bring him up. You obviously add a first round pick, Matthew Golden, Savion Williams, if you want to count him as a wide receiver, running back combo. But just looking, starting with the wide receivers, this group, the hype with them last year of how all these guys were going to take the next step, and overall just how many weapons Jordan Love had on the outside, and all these guys complementing each other, and had decent years, good years, but maybe just didn't take the steps that a lot of fans thought they would, or even national media thought they would. Does that change how you feel about this group going into 2025, or is the hype still there, or is the excitement still there with this wide receiver group? We'll start with the returners, and then obviously you can add Matthew Golden into that as well. Any one of you, thoughts on the wide receivers as this group returning from 2024 going into 2025?
I am not as high on them going into this year as maybe a lot of people were going into last year. I think they were kind of hoping someone would kind of elevate themselves, kind of start to stand out a little bit last year. And that certainly did not happen whatsoever. You talk about the drops, you talk about Romeo Dobbs just fucking off for 2 days and no one knew where he was and decided not to show up for practice and getting suspended. I mean, there's a chance there. People have talked about he may not even last the season. He might be up for be a trade candidate. Um, I don't know. It's hard to see any of these guys really stepping up and kind of being that guy that is kind of the go-to guy. I'm really hoping Dontavian Wicks can do that. We've seen what he can do, and as far as getting open, he just needs to fix his hands. Um, Maybe not have feet for hands going forward would be a good start. Um, but he's probably the one that I have the highest hopes for. Honestly, that's just me. I I think he's super talented. If he can just put it all together with his hands, I think he could be 1,200-yard receiver, 8 9 touchdowns, 80 85 catches. Um, I love the tight end, the one. I love Tucker Kraft. He's an absolute boss. We've talked a little bit about Luke Musgrave on this show already, and how down we are on him. Um,
So
but yeah,
does 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 Tucker Kraft for you make this group as a whole as pass catchers more exciting to be a little bit more and I'm just with his potential and your excitement, or is it's still the wide receivers and tight ends? I look at it completely different and super high
I
on him.
yes, the second one.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited about Matthew Golden, but we literally have no idea what he'll be like. He could be a fucking superstar. He could be an absolute bust. We'll see.
Yeah, Tucker Kraft out of last year's group's the only bright spot. I'm pretty much out on all of those receivers. I like Romeo Dobbs, but just his whatever the hell last year was, and then just knowing that I'm assuming this is his last year, just with how it's all played out, the Packers aren't going to resign him. I mean, he is what he is, a 50-50 guy, makes plays in the ball. He's good at that, but either it's just going to be a 1 year thing. He's going to be gone. Who knows about Christian Watson? I agree with about Dontavian Wicks. I like him. He's a little bit of Devontae Adams in him, except he just can't catch the ball. And I don't really know how you fix that. Like, that's always been the issue. That was the talk coming out of college. So I don't know. I'm hoping Jaden Reed bounces back this year. But yeah, overall, I don't know. I'm not very high on the guys we have coming back. I think all the excitement, which Mike just kind of touched on, should be on Matthew Golden and maybe Savion Williams. But yeah, just reading the shit from last week, which doesn't mean anything. I'm Matthew Golden's got to be the guy. He's got to show up and he's got to be the number one guy, and he's got to probably have 80 to 90 catches and be that number one guy. because I mean, you can't count on any of the other guys. It's not like they're rookies, like they've been in the system, and yeah, it's got to be Matthew Golden's to take over, and hopefully Tucker Kraft and can take another step, and that's obviously partially going to be LaFleur game planning him better into the game because he is the best consistent offensive playmaker besides Josh Jacobs, and it's not even close.
Yeah, and for me too, going into any season when there's a lot of positive talk about a group, I almost get a little bit nervous. So last year we kind of saw people hyping up the Packers wide receiver core, really young players coming off good rookie years, and kind of saw a pretty big regression there, especially, talking about the drops earlier. So I guess my biggest hope too is like we've got some wide receivers in contract years, hopefully with a chip on their shoulder. I know fans, Josh Jacobs calling them out, and then the Packers coming in and drafting two wide receivers in the first 3 rounds. Hopefully, that's kind of a wake up call for some of these guys that need to take the next step here. My biggest hope too is, whatever we do see out of these receivers, I hope we just get a good, kind of a good look at them before we have to make contract decisions. You always hate to see someone have 1 or 2 bad years early in the career, go to another team potentially, and really take off too. So hopefully these guys can turn it around and yeah, I think that they're going to come in with a chip on their shoulder and, uh, you know, cautiously optimistically thinking I'm going to be happy with what we see from the receivers this year.
Okay. Well, then this is probably a tough question, but I'm gonna ask it anyways. Got the vibes are down. Besides maybe Kevin, I know he was on the optimistic side of this. So of these returners, who do you think has the bounce back? If you were to look at a bounce back candidate specifically for the returning group from 2024, is there anyone that you think realistically or you hope bounces back and has, I don't want to say like a huge year, but just bounces back in terms of like a fan's expectations or maybe what the Packers expect from him? Is there anyone that you have your eyes on that you could see doing that?
Yeah, I said it before, Dontavian Wicks. I mean, I just talked about how he gets open a lot. That's why he led the team in targets. Um, I mean, I'm not saying he's Devonte Adams, nor will he be, but don't forget that Devonte, his first couple years had issues with drops too, and after that he was able to turn it around, and now he's one of the best in the league. Again, not saying Wicks is going to ever be that, but I think his talent kind of lends to the idea, the hope that he can turn it around.
Yeah, if I had to pick one, I'd probably just say Romeo Dobbs, just because I think he'll get a lot of single coverage if Matthew Golden or any of these other guys actually step it up. I mean, I've expressed this before. I think if Matthew Golden can be that guy and he's a true number one type receiver, everybody gets better. It makes everything much more simple. You know what the defense is going to do. You know how they're going to have to respect Matthew Golden with his speed if he is a vertical threat at all. So it's a lot. And I'm. It doesn't matter. He's not going to hear this obviously from me, but there's a lot of pressure in Matthew Golden because he makes or breaks his offense. He really does. They need a number one receiver, and he's got it. It just takes so much pressure. Everybody else, like none of those other guys are number one guys. You're going to load the box against Josh Jacobs. So if he can break that open, it's a game changer.
Yeah. I'm going to agree with Mike here too, and say that I hope to see Wicks take a big step forward. I am a little bit nervous to step back from the optimistic side earlier. I am nervous too to see, the absence of Christian Watson too, and just the impact of how defenses are going to try to defend our receiver core too. I think that's going to be another storyline too, especially in the early weeks if we aren't seeing guys get open. I know it's exciting to see Watson make those big plays, but I also think there's a lot of times that guys are wide open because they're so worried about his speed. So, like Riley was saying too, hopefully Golden can jump in there and kind of fill that void. But I think that's another big risk that we got to look out for there.
I think the thing we have to watch during training camp too is what are they going to do? Because like I said, I like Dontavian Wicks, but my worry is I think Matthew Golden's going to take his Z position reps, a lot of them. But at the same time, moving on from Dobbs, are they going to give Wicks reps at X because he is so good at getting open against those man-to-man coverage stuff? So I don't know. I'm interested to see where they put Wicks, or maybe he learns both. But I think straight up, I think Golden's going to take his spot with the primary, like a three wide receiver set. It's gonna be him, Reed, and Dobbs. I don't think Wicks is going to be in that unless he takes Dobbs' spot at X, which I think he actually would be a better X receiver. Dobbs has just been there, so I don't know. I don't know what it's going to be, but I think that's going to be interesting to see during camp if who's playing in what position.
Yeah, and you mentioned a lot of pressure on Matthew Golden. I think there's almost more pressure on Matt LaFleur, which I know is kind of a layup there of yes, there's obviously pressure on head coaches every season, but I think just with the struggles of the offense towards the end of last year, um, what is it going to look like those first few weeks? I think those first few weeks of some winnable games there in the first 7-8 weeks there. Are the training wheels still going to be on there with Matthew Golden? Is he going to limit him, or is it just going to be full go? Here's our guy. We're going to move him around all over the field and get him the ball, as many times as possible, or to many, get him in space and things like that. I think that's going to be very intriguing of how the offense is called those first couple weeks. Is it just going to be these veteran guys and get them every chance and slowly work Matthew Golden in, or is it going to be all hands on deck from the start of, like you mentioned, Matthew Golden is a huge part of this offense. We're going to feature him quite a bit in, a bunch of different formations, a bunch of different looks, because I think that could be key from the offense clicking early on, or the offense taking all the way to week, back half of the season to maybe get going. If it does get going, at least the passing game.
I think it should be pretty simple, like instantly. I mean, think about it. If you're a defense coming in the next season, what are you worried about? You're worried about Josh Jacobs. Matthew Golden's going to be matched up one on one against whatever corner. So it doesn't have to be complicated, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see if LaFleur puts him in motion, tries to get a running start, blah, blah, blah. That's the stuff he can do for him. Usually he does that for Jaden Reed. So yeah, kind of agree with what you just said, Colin, but he's going to get one-on-one looks because there's no way teams the first 3 weeks of the season are going to worry about anything besides stopping the run with the Packers based on what they showed last year. You just can't. That's all they could do. So yeah, we should find out very quick who's going to excel and who shouldn't. And then if nobody does, it's going to be another ground and pound defensive year, boring year. But yeah, we should find out quickly, I would assume.
Real quick question, just because none of you guys mentioned him, so I just want to get your thoughts. Jaden Reed, do you think Jaden Reed kind of gets a bad rep? I know he had I'd say he had a good rookie season. Yes, he struggled last year, but his struggles last year, he still had 50 plus catches, 850 yards, 6 touchdowns. I know he had a lot of drops, but he's still pretty important to this offense. Would you not say? I think he's almost kind of forgotten about a little bit of how explosive and how good he is and how good he can be. I'm excited. I think of Matthew Golden as good as he can be and what he can add to this offense. I think that's going to open up Jaden Reed just as much too, because I don't think Jaden Reed's just going to be a east to west toy and all this stuff, and actually maybe let him truly be, to his potential and what he can be to this offense, and play him a little bit outside more. We've called upon and mentioned, but just thoughts on Jaden Reed, because none of you guys mentioned him, so I just want to say, what are you out on Jaden Reed with the struggles he had on his second season, or is it still there? Because to me, I think he's a huge piece of this offense still, and I think he's got to be, to me. I think, yes, Matthew Golden's number one, but I think Jaden Reed's, at least in terms of playmakers on the outside of getting guys in space, with your wide receiver group. I want the ball in his hands quite a bit too, at least from my perspective.
I see Kevin shaking his head. He's got some thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I just think initially, if I'm Jaden Reed, I'm coming in with a huge chip on my shoulder. For the last, couple of years, there's questions about the Packers' number one wide receiver. Then you draft someone in the first round, people stubbing him in as the first round receiver there too. So, I mean, it's been great to see the reports of him, working with Matthew Golden from like a team chemistry standpoint. But I'm hoping to see a big season from Jaden Reed, and if that's not going to light a fire under you, I don't know what is. So. Um, hopefully we see a couple steps forward from him. But if I'm, in my third year as a wide receiver and kind of getting stubbed into that number two spot, I'm not going to be too happy about that. And I'm sure he's feeling that even more when he's the one putting in the work. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about Jaden Reed here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, that whole agent thing, calling Goody, asking what my role, put a bad taste in my mouth. It kind of is. I'm just having flashbacks of how Dobbs acted last year. I think that's incoming if he doesn't get the touches he wants the first couple weeks of the season. And it's just because it's based on nothing. It's like, dude, you haven't like he's made plays and stuff like that, but how many? He had 9 drops last year. Like, what are you talking about, dude? You can't like. That's why. That's why they drafted a receiver because they can't count on you to catch the ball. Like we talked about his targets and stuff. 30 of them, if not more, were swing passes. So that means on like actual pass attempts, you literally dropped one out of every 6 balls probably because the other, well, how many? He had 75 targets, down to 45 off of real passes. You dropped one out. What would that be? One out of 5 passes,
Yeah.
normal passes. Like what are we talking about? That's terrible. Mike's going across the middle catching more than those.
Yeah. And yeah, Riley, Jaden Reed had as many drops as the entire Baltimore receiving core did last year.
Yeah, and probably off of like 300 less like targets. Like he literally had 45 real wide receiver targets. Like it's, I mean, I don't have the actual number, but I'm guessing it's 45 to 50 because we all remember like every swing pass, swing pass, swing pass. He had at least 30 of those. So it goes down to 45, 50. So you dropped literally one out of every 5 or 6 passes, dude. And he just comes out and complain, "What's my role?" It's like, what are you talking
Yeah.
about, man? So it's just a bad take. I hope he's a freak when he plays. Like obviously, you go back to Week 1 last year against the Eagles, him and Jordan Love almost like beat them by themselves. All those crazy plays they were making, the long one before half and stuff like that. But it's just after that we just never saw it, and then all the drops and just the complaining, and it's just to me it's just a lot of negatives leading up for somebody that hasn't performed, and like he hasn't performed bad, but it's not like he's like was
Yes.
Garrett Wilson or somebody in his rookie year. Then last year, like he had two back. It's not. We're not talking about Justin Jefferson coming into his 3rd year in the league. You know what I mean? Like that's just. It was just insane to me that was even brought up.
I mean, wasn't there like a 5 game stretch last year where we were all just like, "Where's Jaden Reed? Like, what did he do?" Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I think he's just another guy, kind of at this point. Like, yeah, he has potential for explosive plays, but he's not anywhere near as consistent as he needs to be. Like, I absolutely think that Golden, perhaps Savion Williams, could eventually start stealing some of his touches. I don't know.
All right. Well, just curious to see because there's a lot of mouths to feed. I think in this offense when you just look at this group, there's a lot of receivers, and I don't like you said. I don't think there's a true number one until Matthew Golden proves himself. Right now, I think we still have a lot of unknowns going to this season, so it's going to be very intriguing how Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur feed all those mouths on offense besides Josh Jacobs. So one mouth I think that will get fed quite a bit. Tucker Kraft, hopefully, quite a bit. Fellow outrageous, fellow tattoo guy, share the same tattoo artist. Just gonna throw it out there. But Tucker Kraft, year 3 for him. I guess how can he take a step forward? How can he take his game to the next level? Because I think he's to the point now where he's probably, I would say he's safely a top 10 tight end. I would probably put him in the top 5, top 7 tight ends. But for him to solidify as one of the top tight ends in the league, what do you want to see from Tucker Kraft in year 3 to take that next step and take that next step in just every facet? What would you want to see out of Tucker Kraft in 2025?
Is it me or does his route tree still seem a little basic? Like that can be developed a little bit more. Uh, like you see Kittle running like a lot of these deep crossers and whatnot. I think he can absolutely be George Kittle, like spitting image of him. If he can expand his route tree a little more, I think he's got superstar written all over him.
Yeah, I'll keep my answer short and sweet. I don't. Kraft has to do absolutely nothing. He is already a top 5 tight end, and we were all biased. Like, if this is all on the floor watching, like Mike just said, go watch the 49ers offense. Watch Shanahan. He won't because him and Shanahan have a little rivalry bullshit. But go watch the 49ers. See how they use Kittle. Do the same fucking thing. Kraft will be fine. He has to do nothing. He's
Yeah.
already a stud.
Yeah, I'm excited for to see Kraft this next season. I think too, like you look in the red zone too as the field shortened downs. You already have to worry about defending Josh Jacobs. If we can see even just a half step forward there for Kraft, just being another threat that you really have to worry about on every play, whether it's him actually blocking or slipping out on a play action too in the red zone. I think that could be another area for him. It is exciting to see him make plays, get us across midfield or down the field. But I think too, just seeing him continue to emerge as a red zone threat too is what I'm hoping for and excited for as well.
Over under 9.5 snaps as quarterback sneak on 3rd and short, 4th and short for Tucker Kraft. Nine and
Under.
a half
Under.
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 I'm gonna go under. I
Under.
think our pride's going to get in the way if we submit a motion to ban the tush push. However you want to look into that, whether we were asked to do it or did it ourselves as the Packers. I think they're going to be careful how many times they run that play. Um, I'm going to say under 9.5.
All right, I agree. I agree with Riley too. I think he's a top 5 tight end in the league. I just think his usage isn't a top 5 tight end in the league. That's where I think it comes
Yeah.
from. I think he needs to get more targets, and I don't care how he gets them. It can be those play action, leak out into the flat and just get him the ball in space because he is a tough dude to tackle in space. If it is more down the field or something more deep, I'm all for getting Tucker Kraft the ball in a bunch of different ways, more tight end screens. I think it's just all on the floor and how he can be creative and utilize them, and hopefully the success of running the ball with Jacobs and having a downfield threat will kind of open that up a little bit more. But what I am nervous about, the depth behind him. Tight end 2, tight end 3. Does that matter? Do we need another receiving tight end behind Tucker Kraft, or is Tucker Kraft that good where we just need depth guys to block and essentially be 6 linemen, or however they're used, maybe one catch every 7 games from a guy that we sign halfway through the season that we don't know. Are you concerned with the depth behind Tucker Kraft from the tight end position? I know Riley doesn't like to speak of one of the tight ends that is behind Tucker Kraft in the same draft class, but talk to me about the depth behind Tucker Kraft and just the rest of that room of what that looks like for this year.
I'll
Want me
let
to go?
Riley go. Yeah.
So I'm obviously out on Musgrave. He just doesn't block for one. Two, he has shitty ball skills. I don't care what anybody says. I've watched him track enough balls and completely turn his body for no reason. He can't track the ball, which is literally your job as a pass catcher. So two things he just does not do well. So unless that changes, I don't even know really how you really change that. Maybe just catching punts. Maybe he played center field and had some people hit slow pitch balls to him when he was tracking the ball. I don't know what he did this offseason, but that's what he needs to improve on. And obviously the blocking, which is a half-assed mindset, and I haven't seen that, so I doubt that's going to change. Yeah, I mean, if he can do a little bit, cool. He's gonna be in the roster. He's gonna be the second tight end. It is what it is. So maybe they can do something with him. Um, and then, I mean, I don't know. I like Sims. I like Fitzpatrick as a third tight end. They're fine. They block. They do their role. They'll catch the ball if it's thrown to them. So yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm concerned. They don't have a second tight end, but I mean, at the same time, in my opinion, they don't either. So I don't know. It could become an issue at some point in time if Tucker Craft gets banged up at all. Yeah, it's a huge issue. If he's not, then no, it's fine. And if I want Tucker Craft in there as much as humanly possible.
Yeah. To go back to the usage discussion really quick, Colin, is there like a number you're looking for?
For like targets a game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or like overall. So he had what,
we might
75 last
we
year?
might get to that in the stat
So,
predictions at the end here in a little bit.
okay.
In my opinion of what leaders in terms of what I want to look like, but
What you okay. Okay.
I think he personally needs like 5, at least 5. I would love to get 5 touches a game. I would settle for like 5 targets a game. Like in any way possible. That's what I would like be happy with, but I don't know if that's what will happen. But
I think he had 70 last year. I don't know if you're looking at like 100 targets for the season, or is
guess you have
that
to
too many?
you have to tune in here in a couple minutes
All
when we
right,
get to that
all right,
possibly. But yeah,
little teaser.
trying to spoil my one of my stat prediction categories.
Okay,
But
fair enough.
Yeah. And to Riley's point earlier too, I'm already mentally preparing myself for the frustration of Musgrave not playing a full season. So then if Kraft does get hurt, that's where it starts getting concerning too. You start seeing the tight end depth get really thick there. But if everyone can stay healthy, um, I'm okay with the group, which is I'm just basically viewing as Kraft from a production receiving standpoint. Anything else we get out of that group's a bonus.
Yeah.
all right, I know we talked about Savion Williams a little bit last week as a running back. How does he look as a wide receiver? Because like you mentioned last week, he's going to take a roster spot, right? He's going to be one of the guys. I would think that he would probably be a wide receiver on this team, at least on paper. What does his usage maybe look like as a receiver? Best case scenario. Obviously, it's not going to be a ton, but if you were Matt LaFleur, how would you kind of use Savion Williams as a receiver slash running back to kind of complement the rest of those guys in this offense?
I feel like you'd use him kind of how you've been using Jaden Reed, right? Kind of that utility player. Use him in the backfield, sweeps, motion, some deep ins, whatnot. I mean, because he's a big physical body, like he can take the hits. So let him be that physical player, and I don't know, maybe throw him out on the outside too. Riley, you did quite a deep dive on this guy during the draft. Like, is he someone that can kind of take up the sideline and go get those 50-50 balls over the corner?
Yes, he will. I think he'll get some of Christian Watson's home run shit until Christian Watson comes back. He'll get one or two shots a game. That's literally all he did as a receiver at TCU is it was just deep posts or bombs. Obviously, like you said, use him as a Jaden Reed screen type. I would love that. And I've talked about put the fucker in the backfield. Put Tucker Kraft with Wicks and Golden and Reed out at receiver, Kraft at tight end, and put Savion in the backfield. And like, yeah, let's see if a linebacker can guard him. Even if it's just a quick out of the backfield, it's an arrow route, whatever, over in the middle. Like, you can't. And if you're going to leave the box light, he can run. Like, use him like the 49ers. Again, use him like the 49ers use Debo. If teams are going to play a light box, let them run the ball 3 or 4 times a game. If it's a linebacker guarding them, just easy passes, easy passes. Like, because teams shown they're going to play man against the Packers until I'm beating the same drum here. Until one of these Packers receivers steps up, like, teams are just going to play man against them. So I don't know. You got to find a mismatch somewhere to make them pay. If a team going to use their safety to cover Tucker Kraft, or are they going to use a safety over Savion Williams in the backfield? And either way, Tucker Kraft's going to be a linebacker, Savion's going to be a linebacker, and it's just simple shit whether LaFleur does it or not. And I don't know, it just pisses me off. I mean, Colin's heard me rant about this for years with LaFleur, how fucking and it's you just. God, I love the 49ers. The 49ers are my second team. That's literally what Shanahan does and why he just fucks with people with Christian McCaffrey and Kittle. Because you cannot guard both. The linebacker is going to be on one of them. If you take all the linebackers out, you just run the ball. Like, football is not fucking hard when you have a running back that can do this shit. LaFleur doesn't do it, and it pisses me off, but that's how I would use him. I would use the fucker. He'd be the second running back. I said this last week. Sean Lloyd, whatever. I would put Savion at running back. He's a just absolute nightmare to cover. So easy for Love. And he can, yeah, it's just, to me, it's easy, but he won't do it. I don't know.
So my hot take and when I texted Mike shortly after the draft was that playing into exactly what Riley was saying, I was more excited about the upside of Savion Williams, like massive upside versus upside of Matthew Golden. I've taken a couple steps back, but depending on how they use him in the offense, I am really excited to see what can happen. And to Riley's point too, with like his ball tracking skills, I've also heard like he'll drop some balls that you're like, how the heck didn't you catch that? And he'll also come down with just some incredible catches too. So I'm hoping the Packers can rewrite history. If you remember opening versus the Vikings. I think it was 2 years ago. Christian Watson running down the sideline drops that easy touchdown. I'm hoping maybe Savion can sneak out in a wheel route or something early in the first game, and maybe kind of get some fans talking about him early. So I think the key for him too. Another knock on him was drops in college, and if you look at Golden and Savion from like a drop perspective, they're kind of on opposite trends. So like Golden was maybe a little shaky in his first couple of years and became a little bit more sure-handed, and then Savion in his last 2 years started having a couple more drop issues too. So hopefully he can, maybe get a couple games under his belt where he's feeling good, just having the confidence to make those plays and continue on through the season. But I'm excited, all dependent on how the Packers use him and how quickly he can learn the playbook too, depending on what gets written in. But if they use him the right way and everything, kind of works out, I think there's a really high upside for him. So it'll be cool to see how that shakes out.
He still, to me, he still reminds me too of Cordero Patterson a little bit, just with his build and just kind of what he can do out of the backfield and still be a valuable receiver. I think he could be a good like red zone guy too. You talk about creating mismatches down in the red zone. You bring him out of the backfield or bring him from certain angles, like you said, against linebackers. I think he could, sneakily have, 3, 4, 5 touchdowns maybe, and not a ton of yards, but at least maybe be a threat down there in the red zone. Real quick before we move on, for any final thoughts for wide receivers, tight ends, what are we doing with McCole Hardman? Is he just dead in the water, not making the roster, just a body for training camp? Like what's going on? How many, if you polled 1,000 Packer fans, how many of the percentage of them do you think they forget that he's even on the roster currently still or on the active roster currently?
I forgot until this week,
There's
honestly.
one right there. Is he dead in the water unless he absolutely just blows it away in the return game in some capacity or proves like, hey, you have to have
Yeah.
out there on punt returns, kick
Well,
returns. But if that's the case, then what the heck do they do at receiver in terms of like who do they keep? I think that's gonna be very intriguing of if he proves to be valuable with Bisaccia's, you know, special teams, and he's like, this dude has to be on the roster. You have to make a spot for him. Like, what do you do then at wide receiver? I think that could be very interesting if he makes it tough to keep him off. But it's funny because you draft a guy. I don't know. It's a lot of guys in front of him, obviously.
yeah.
He's dead until Romeo Dobbs is in black and gold in Pittsburgh.
Is that the
It's simple as
prediction?
that, in my opinion. If Romeo Dobbs is on the roster, if McCole Hardman's dead, if he gets traded like everybody's saying, I think Hardman's that sixth guy just because of special teams.
I'm hoping for a trade too of Dobbs. I've liked him as a player, but I think another thing that we don't have a ton of information on is that last concussion he had versus Philly too, and like the impact that could have. He has one more, hard hit like that, and what's that going to look like for the rest of the season? Is he even going to make it for a full season too? So, I mean, back to Hardman. Uh, I mean, depending on what can happen in the return game, or maybe they're just hoping he can share a couple tricks with the rookies. But yeah, I mean, you got Hardman, Heath, Melton. I think it's going to be. I'd be pretty nervous if I was any of those three guys going into camp.
Yeah. And that's not even to mention Watson's not even going to be on the initial 53 to start. He'll be on the physically unable to perform list. So whenever he comes back, someone else is going to get dumped too.
A lot of mouths to feed in that room, so we'll see the hand that feeds them what he does. But any final thoughts before we go into 2025 stat leader predictions from anyone we didn't mention or any category you wanted to mention before we get into the stats? All good. All right. Well, it is that time. 2025 stat leader predictions from either wide receiver or tight ends. I have the core four: targets, receptions, yards, touchdowns. Did you guys want to add anything else in that? I know there's obviously yak. Sadly, there's drops, which I know has been a very competitive category for Packer receivers. We just want to stick with this four. I don't know what you guys all did research on for this. We'll just
Let's see
stick
what the
with it.
vibes are after
We'll
these
see.
four.
We'll see what the vibes are after the four. All right, let's start with targets. And again, this can be wide receiver or tight end, which is I just said tight end singular with Tucker Kraft. Who do you think leads the team in targets for 2025? I'm going to start on my screen. Actually, I'm on the top left, so it would be me. All right, so I will start with this, and this was my what Mike was trying to get out of me earlier. I think Tucker Kraft leads the team in targets. I think he should get 5 targets a game. I think there's going to be some games where he gets more than 5 targets. If he gets 5 targets a game, that would be 85 targets in the regular season. I think he gets above 90. I'm going to say 92 because that was the year I was born. So I'm going to say Tucker Kraft gets over 90 and leads the team in targets from the tight end position. Mike, you are on the bottom left of my screen. You go next. Who leads the team in targets?
I went with Matthew Golden here. I think
Okay.
he's
You're gonna
gonna.
throw out a number. You're
Yeah,
gonna throw out a number.
Riley likes that.
You're gonna throw out a
I'll
number.
say 9. I'll say 95. 95
95.
targets.
Okay. Riley.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I had Matthew Golden with the leader at 90, and I had Tucker Kraft right behind him with 85. I think those two have to be 1A and 1B this year.
All right, Kevin.
Yeah. I think if we have Golden leading the team in targets, we're going to be off to a pretty good spot, and the season's probably looking pretty good. I think the safe bet, if I were to put money on it, I'm going to put my money on Kraft, and I'm going to agree with you, Colin. If he can get to that 85, I don't know if I'll go up to 92, but if he can get to mid 80s, I'd be happy with that.
All right. Receptions. And remember last year, Jaden Reed led the team with receptions 55. Tucker Kraft had 50. So we'll start with you, Mike, for receptions. Who leads the teams in receptions for 2025?
Well, I gotta go with the guy with the most targets. I'm gonna go with Matthew Golden. I'm gonna say 88 catches this year.
And you had how many targets for him?
95.
Okay.
Maybe
Jeez,
that's a
just
little high.
super valuable. Just getting it done. I love it. Can't take it back. You got to live with that.
All right.
Okay.
I'm gonna go Tucker Kraft as my leading reception guy with 72. I said 85 targets, but I think the floor is gonna be like, yeah, we need to get this guy the ball in his hand. So screens, dump offs, the short stuff. I don't think there'll be many. I mean, I wish they would use him as deep crossers, more down the middle, like the 49ers use Kittle for more chances for incomplete passes. But until LaFleur shows me that, I don't actually think it's going to happen. But I think he will recognize the need to get the ball in his hands because of his yak. So I'll say 72 catches, leading receiver in that category, Tucker Kraft.
Kevin.
Going to piggyback off Riley. I'm going to have Tucker Kraft as the leading receiver. Just to throw out a number, I'm going to go with my high school football number, 77 receptions.
Okay.
I like it.
All right. I also have Tucker Kraft. I think he gets 4 catches a game, which according to my math, I think that would be 68. I believe, right? 17 in the regular season. 17 times 2 is 34 times 2. 68. There you go for all you math wizards. 68 catches for Tucker Kraft. I think he's the leading receiver because I think there is a lot of mouths to feed. So I would be extremely, extremely excited if Matthew Golden gets almost 90% of his targets turned into catches. I would be absolutely thrilled. All right, we're going to keep going around. We're going to start up there with Riley, this one, actually. Yards. Who leads the team in yards this season?
So I had Matthew Golden just because I think he's going to get these one-on-one matchups that we talked about. Without saying too much, yeah, if we were going to talk about Yak, I would say Matthew Golden for Yak too. So I think he's going to be right around that 65 to 70 catches range, but I think he's going to hit a lot of big ones because of his speed and man-to-man beaters and stuff like that. So I had like 850 to 900 yards. I think he'll have a big like average per catch number because of the yak that he produces.
Kevin.
It's tough, tough to say for yards, but for the theatrics of it, I got Matthew Golden going over 900 yards to clinch the game January 4th against the Vikings.
Okay. I love that little scenario in there too. I'm gonna jump on the Matthew Golden train as well. I have him just getting over 900 at 915. I think Matthew Golden gets. So, Mike, you gonna make it 4 for 4?
I'm gonna stick with our golden boy. Gotta stick
Okay.
with my guy. I'm gonna
Any
go
any
somewhere.
any outrageous number? I'm excited to hear. Remember, he has
No, and
Collin.
this
He has
no, and this is why I
45.
wanted to change my reception number because his yards per catch are gonna be really low. Then
You have what?
I'm saying
85
like
catches.
I'm changing it to 78. I'm making an
Okay.
executive decision. 78 catches between I'm gonna say about 1,100 yards.
Wow. Okay. Welcome to the show, Matthew Golden. I love it. All right.
Yep, he's gonna be a yak monster.
You need to be his hype man. Get in contact with Matthew Golden. Tell him how great of a rookie season he's going to have. Just keep rattling off these numbers. Tell him this is just manifest it for him. I want this to happen. Okay. All right. Touchdowns. Last one of the core four here. We'll start with Kevin. Who leads the team in receiving touchdowns for 2025?
I'm gonna have Tucker Craft coming out as a big red zone threat, 12 touchdowns.
Love it. 12
That'd be
touchdowns.
sick.
All right. I'm also going to do Tucker Craft. I think he gets to 9 touchdowns, but 12 touchdowns sounds a lot better. But I will jump on the Tucker Craft train as well. Mike.
I'm gonna try to go four. I'm just kidding. Not going 4 for 4. We're going with Tucker Craft. Same as Kevin. 12 touchdowns.
Okay. And Riley.
Mine's a little outrageous. Then if he's on the team, I'm going Romeo Dobbs. That is LaFleur. That's Love's favorite one-on-one target down there. Just fades. I think he gets 10 touchdowns. He might have 30 catches in the year. I think 10 of them are touchdowns because of the one-on-one down there. Teams are worried about Josh Jacobs. He's going to be one-on-one, and he's shown he's been excellent one-on-one back shoulder fades, and that Love loves throwing to him. So I'll say Romeo Dobbs 10 touchdowns if he's on the team.
Yeah. They have good chemistry. And when he needs a big play, he usually goes to him. That's his usually his man to man third or in the red zone beater. But all right, well that is our 2025 stat leader predictions for the Packers from the wide receiver and tight end position. Tell us who you think will lead the team in targets, receptions, yards, and touchdowns. And just for fun right now, I'm going to put everyone on the spot on the bad side of things. Who is going to lead the team in drops for the 2025 season? Don't have to give me a number. Is it going to be the same guys that struggled last year, or are we going to have someone new? Who do you think leads the team in drops?
Jaden Reed.
Dontavian Wicks, unfortunately.
No, come
I'm
on.
gonna go Dontavian Wicks too.
Oh, you got it.
I
Kevin,
think
don't
I'm
you
going to have to
dare.
stick with Jaden Reed on this, but I'm going to put a cap on it. No player has more than 5 drops. We're going to see a
Okay.
All
big
right.
swing from last year. No player is going to drop more than 5 balls this season.
If you tell me Luke Musgrave's gonna be healthy all year, I'll fucking say him. But he's not going to be, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, he's got to be on the field to drop it.
All right. Well, that is our wide receiver tight end talk. Like I said, let us know who you think is going to have a big 2025 season. If you have any questions, Max, or any other listeners of what you think about the wide receiver or tight end room, or like I said, let us know who you think will be the target receptions, yards, and receiving touchdown leaders for 2025. But it is that time. We are in the final drive, and we got an interesting one this week. It's more of a question to ponder of us trying to relive our glory days in a way, or maybe alternative universes. But we're going to start with this question right now because this is something that I've actually talked to a couple people about, and I've heard different answers, but I've never given my own. So I'm also intrigued to hear your guys' answers as well. So here is the scenario. If you had a full year where you didn't have a job, this was your full-time job. You had the best facilities, you had the best trainers, staff, like anything you can imagine, you had access to it for a full year. It could be 365 days. You can take breaks, but whatever, you have a full year to all of these facilities, the staff, the programs. and you trained that full year, which professional sport do you think you could potentially compete in or make a roster or just be, I guess, a professional in that sport after that full year of training? Does that question make sense to all of you? I think it should. I think you guys all did research for it, but who wants to start it off?
I can.
Riley. All right, Riley, you have a full year. What sport do you think you can have a legit shot at?
I mean, mine was pretty simple, just with how I am, I think, and whatever. Rugby. It's got to be rugby for me, just with my body type and how I am. Anyways, I couldn't see myself doing anything. I don't feel that confident in rugby. Just the amount of running they do, the cardio aspect of it, because I fucking hate running. But just the body type, the stuff like that. Yeah, I would probably pick rugby.
Okay. Any thoughts on that, anyone? Rugby. Do they agree that Riley could do rugby, or is that absolutely outrageous?
I mean, just looking at Riley right now, I wouldn't want to tackle him. So I'm gonna agree with him on that, and especially give him another year where that's all that's on his mind. I think that's a great pick for him.
Yeah.
And
Add a couple more tattoos
I was
too,
gonna
and
say,
dude's just so much more threatening out there. So
in
much more
those three
intimidating.
in those 365 days, how many more tattoos are you getting if you're trying to make a rugby professional roster?
I'm fully embracing like the Samoan aspect of it, and
Well, of
probably
course,
this entire side, like down to my legs, would be some Samoan shit.
of course.
Full
It's an
arm sleeve,
intimidation
like sleeve.
factor too, right? It has to be. Like if you're
Yeah.
lined up across that guy, you're gonna scrum with him. Like you're gonna think twice about that. All right, Mike. Let's go to you. Full
So
year.
I was between either bags or handball.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with bags.
Okay.
Cornball or cornball. Cornhole
Cornball
as
is creator. He created a new
cornhole
sport
as
in that year. Yeah.
yeah, cornhole as it's otherwise known. I feel like I'm a pretty decent bags player already. Feel like if I had a year to just focus solely on bags all day, 365 days a year, I'm absolutely wrecking shop.
I like
I
that.
I think you.
I
Yeah.
mean,
I think, yeah, I think you're already a grade A shit talker. Like your chirping's impeccable. I don't really know, but that's just how I would imagine. So you got to get in like the opponent's heads and stuff
Oh
too.
yeah, yeah.
And Kevin,
Thank you.
Kevin probably knows your bag skills from tailgating. I'm sure quite a bit.
Yeah, how'd
yeah, I
that
mean,
go
if
for
I,
you,
Fielder.
Kev?
if I learned anything in the Anduzzi's parking lot at the draft, it's you give Mike another year to practice throwing those things, and it's not going to be pretty.
You'll be sponsored for
Undefeated boy.
sure.
Yep.
Would you get any tattoos if you were made the jump and were a professional bags player? Like, cause you're wearing T-shirts, you're sponsored, and I mean, if you're on TV on ESPN, the Ocho, they're gonna be showing you. You got
Yeah,
opportunities to rip a forearm or something, right?
you have to. Yeah.
Okay. All right, Kevin, we'll go with you. 1 year training.
I think what was that?
Go ahead, you're up. One year training. What's the sport that you think?
1 year training. I think I'm going to become an elite rower. So looking at my height with my legs and my arms, I mean, no offense to the rowers out there, I've never done it, but I feel like you give me a year to build up the technique, build up the core, build up the upper body and lower body strength. Um, I think I could do pretty well. You give me 3 years, and I'm holding that gold medal in LA in the Summer Olympics. So that's my hot take to bring home the show here.
You'd be
Okay,
like the third Winklevoss twin from the the social network.
there you go. Or what was that? Wasn't there a movie just a couple years ago about way back the rowing during the Great Depression, I think, or something
Yeah.
like that. That was very good. Would that be the kind of the team that you'd be on with the was it like 7 or 8 guys, or would it be just like a 1-on-1, 2-on-2? I don't even know all the rowing competitions,
Yeah.
but anything specific?
Yeah. I don't know a
Just
ton
get you in
about
a
it. I
boat.
think I'd be in a boat with 7 or 8 guys. And if the training is not going well, I think the last 3 months I just lose a ton of weight. And I'm that guy that sits in the back with the microphone, just coaching them up. So I think I have my little fallback there. If I'm not the best rower, I can just sit in the back of the boat and yell at people and tell them what they got to do better.
Okay, I like that. All right, so here's what I'm gonna say, and it's kind of a little dig, and it's kind of like it would motivate me even more. If I had a full year, I think I could be a professional disc golfer. If I had a full year to just focus and again, I'm gonna have the best discs ever. Like if you've gone disc golfing, there is a difference between having the starting set from Walmart or Dick's Sporting Goods or also legit going to a disc golf store and like getting I don't know what they're all called. Like my brother-in-law Lucas, who also listens to the show, my father-in-law Randy, big disc golfers. They're pretty good. I saw the how much they improved in a year, and they didn't go every single day. Give me every single day with a coach, if that's even a thing, a disc golf coach. I would think it would be. Give me a disc golf coach. Give me some discs. Give me like a workout regimen to get my my long distance throws down, all the technique. I think I could compete in disc golf if I had a full year to throw discs and just everything and with it. So that would be my professional sport. All right. Now we're going to go real quick on the opposite side, and you can go super in depth in this or just super simple because this is also a very fun debate that I like to get into with people. If I've had a few cocktails in me just to hear their takes, but what do you think is the hardest professional sport to play? And I know the hardest professional sport to play is such a loaded question because there's so many different like facets to it. But like for this, we'll just say like, what do you think is like the most skillful or the most like just like the most skill. Like you have like you can't just have a year to train for this sport. You're still gonna suck at it because it is that hard and you have that much respect for the professionals that do it. What is the sport where you're just like, damn, that is impressive. Just like time after time. If you had to pick like the hardest sport that you think there is out there, professionals, what would you say? Anyone?
Gotta
Crickets.
be, gotta be. If we're just talking like the four major sports, it's gotta be baseball, right?
You think
Like
baseball?
how many guys like go through the minors and whatnot, never make it, or it takes them 8 years to get to the majors, and they play for like 2 games and they're sent back down. And how many guys like once they get to the majors, they have middling or below average careers. Like you have to be so damn good to be like actually successful at that sport.
Yeah, I'd agree. Mine was between baseball and soccer. I was going back and forth all week. I'm gonna go soccer just because like I can just stand there and try to kick a soccer ball straight, and it just doesn't fucking happen. So the speed they play at, how they place the ball, and stuff like that, I don't. You just got it or you don't. Similar to like baseball, if you can hit a ball or not, it's you can practice for it, but at the same time, it's like you got it or you don't. It's all skill based. So either one, baseball, soccer. But I was leaning soccer just because. Yeah, I don't know. It's just for me. I can't kick a ball straight to save my life, even if it's at like a mile, 1 mile per hour. It's still not going to go straight.
Are there any parameters we're putting on what we can pick here?
No parameters.
So
Anything's on the table.
I think especially if you're looking at technique, I might have to go with golf just
Mm,
because I feel like a lot of other sports, you can have some physical traits that help make up a lot in the technique space. And with golf being so technique oriented, you can't fake that. There's no one else on your team. Well, I mean, depending on the competition, it's primarily you versus everyone else. So it's if you're not playing well, there's no one to pick up the slack there. And what's interesting too is like I'm never going to hit a 400-foot home run or throw a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. But every once in a while, I'm going to have a shot that makes me think that I can do it. And then I stick with the sport and just realize how much work I have to do. So I'm going to have to stick with golf for my answer.
I
okay.
love that answer, Kevin.
I do like golf. It's I and when what's the stat of how many people in their life have like broken is it like broken 70 even or 60 or 70? It's like almost as rare as getting struck by light or it is more rare than getting struck by lightning or something like that of people in their lives that I think it's like break 70, right? Like they even just break 70. I can't remember what it is, but
Yeah, I think it's like 45, break 100. And then as you go to 90, 80, 70, it just keeps dropping off
Dipping.
exponentially.
That's the appreciation for like what Scotty Scheffler's doing right now is just like insane to me of just like how consistent he is and every single week the dude's just an animal. Like just wish I had an ounce of or just like 1% of Scotty Scheffler's talent. I think could make me go from in the 50s to maybe like a low 40s 9-hole golfer maybe, but just say that. I'd have to agree with Mike. In my personal opinion, I think being a position player and hitting in the MLB is the toughest thing to do. Like my God, like pitchers nowadays of just the movement and the speed and just like what you see on a day-to-day basis, the different pitchers, like all the preparation and stuff that you have to do, just how many different games in a week and how many different pitchers you have to face. And to me it's just insane. And when you're really good at it, like it's just even more impressive. Like what Aaron Judge is doing right now is like absolutely insane. Or I know he was hitting over 400 for a while there. I think he just snuck under that, but yeah, when you're the top tier guys are just like it's just the hand-eye coordination and the timing and everything. I think to me is just insane of being an MLB hitter. And like you said, doing it consistently for if you're in the postseason, you're sneaking up to 200 games a year, and then you got to do that consistently over a 10-15 year career, just to kind of stay relevant, not drop off a cliff. So that's what it is to me. But I'm intrigued. I thought maybe someone would say hockey. Little surprise about hockey of how skillful hockey players can be with it. Skillful and strength and just everything in there. But I understand though
That's
too.
another fast one too. Hard that you can't hide on the ice rink.
It's true. You can't. All right. Any closing thoughts before we wrap this baby up? Just anything in the sports world in general that you wanted to get off your chest from the past week or week ahead outside of the Packers and football or what the toughest sport is? Anything.
Stanley Cup final so far has been
Ugh,
awesome. First two
theatrical.
games. Game 3 here is going a little sideways for Edmonton right now. It's not looking too good for them, but first two games were extremely entertaining. And also, Riley, I know you're gonna love this. It's U.S. Open week, baby. Come on.
It's thrilled.
I got I did not know that was no,
Yeah.
I don't know. I was watching soccer. Shocker that Portugal upset Spain. I'm sure Colin was tuning into that. We
Mm-hmm.
got the Gold Cup next week. USA fucking sucks. They're dead. It's fucking a bad time in the soccer world. It's a bad time to be from the United States of America. On the guys' side. But yeah, I got soccer coming up. That'll keep me entertained. But I don't know. Maybe I'll try to break my Masters record. Maybe I'll watch 10 minutes, like 10, 12 minutes of the U.S. Open, where I was only like 8 to 10 for the Masters. So we'll see if I can make Mike proud.
Kevin, got anything?
Well, yep. All I've got is 90 days till September 7th, opening kickoff for the Packers. So can't wait. Can't come soon enough.
Yeah.
I think
Here we
now we're
go.
closer to the season starting than we are to the season ending. So that's another little milestone that we've
Yeah.
passed.
Always exciting. Did anyone watch horse racing on Saturday? They see sovereignty take down journalism. I know Riley. I was
Fuck
going
it.
to see if I could boil Riley of why sovereignty didn't try to run for the Triple Crown, but just like ran a perfect race too. I don't
Yeah, I don't.
understand either.
Whoever decision trainer owner that they're idiots. Like they forever probably should be known as the biggest idiots of all time because he definitely would have he's so much head and tails better than
Mm,
journalism or any of the other horses, and it was just very obvious. And they fucked up. They just left a legacy on just chilling out there for no reason.
yeah,
Was it
I
the
mean,
third leg of the Triple Crown this
mm-hmm,
last weekend?
Yeah.
I
yeah,
didn't even know
Hmm.
that.
yeah,
Is it
yeah. And did you
Belmont
know
or Preakness?
that one
Belmont.
is the Belmont? Yeah, and he didn't run. Sovereignty didn't run in the
Pre-
Preakness.
Preakness.
Yeah,
They just didn't run him.
after they won the Kentucky
You know,
Derby, just
Damn shame.
yeah. But yes, I have to agree with you, Riley. it is very frustrating to watch the U.S. men's soccer team right now because it's like could be such a big momentum builder for just soccer in the United States with potentially hosting the World Cup next year, and it's just and then maybe an all-time low right now of just like now it's just a bunch of young guys that aren't even going to be on the World Cup roster right now because everyone's either hurt or doesn't want to play. It's just super frustrating.
You're gonna get me more fired up than the Savion Williams with LaFleur discuss. But like, yeah, like the main players aren't there, and Pochettino's trying to prove a point, and it's just fucking everything's blowing up. They hate him. They suck. The guys he's pulling up sucks. Like blah blah blah. Like it's just I don't know. It's not in a good spot. I'm honestly at the point of because the Gold Cup's not going to go well with this roster. I'm at the point where I don't even know if Pochettino is going to be the fucking coach for the World Cup next year. It's just going to be it's going to be an absolute shit show of a year when it comes to USA soccer. The world it should be the most exciting time like ever with it being in the USA. It's going to be bad.
All right. Well, we're gonna end on that positive note right there. But no, just kidding. Don't want another rant. Let's not bring any more hard topics up for Riley. But Kevin, thanks for joining us. Hope you had a great time. Did awesome. Yeah, we'll have to have you back on in the future at some point. But we'll give you a little golf claps
Yeah.
for that. Riley will
Thanks,
even give you a
Kevin.
golf clap maybe
Thanks
here.
for having
So,
me.
Good job, buddy.
of course.
Go
But
Pack, go.
Go Pack, go. All right. Well, yeah, everyone, please keep telling us how we're doing. Share us on however you listen to your podcast, Spotify, Apple. Mike's getting them ripping on the YouTube channel with video every week. We appreciate you who do listen to us on a week-to-week basis. Want more people to keep listening and keep commenting. We want some viewer comments in there so we can answer them. Can be as crazy as Max's or maybe normal like anyone else, but just ask any question. We do appreciate it. But as always, Riley, Mike, Collin, special guest Kevin, thanks for listening and have a good rest of your day. We'll see you next week.
Love you guys.